Hello, leader. Are you a book lover? Have you ever thought about publishing a book of your own? I think about that a lot. And did you know that over 400,000 books are published each year in the U.S., and 3 to 4 million books are self-published each year? Wow! No wonder the most popular books have a PR firm behind them to ensure the author and their book finds the audience that will gobble it up and come back looking for more. So with that many books vying for space on people's bookshelves each year, how will yours get noticed? It begins with having a qualified team of people who create your book publicity and expert positioning campaigns that will accelerate your success and undoubtedly help you achieve your visibility goals. Today, you will meet a member of the Leadership Lab who leads a team of people who do exactly that. They care for authors and make sure their books are seen and read by raving fans. You'll hear how she began building her team of publicity and marketing experts, how she keeps them engaged, and what they're doing to ensure team spirit thrives within their remote team culture. Oh, and she wants to encourage you that if you are a woman whose manuscript is rejected, she says to do what every man would do. Find another publisher and keep sending it in until you find the one who sees the value in your writing. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast. If you are a woman who owns a small business and you'd like to learn how to lead your team so they don't need you to hold their hand, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Shelli Warren. I've led winning teams in retail, innovative technical teams at a Fortune 50 corporation, and coached many remote teams to win at work. And in case you're wondering, no one escapes team troubles, including me. You already know that the people side of running your business can be tough. I'm here to help. So let's jump into today's episode with a little reminder that the team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there. Hey, have you been catching the episodes that are featuring some of my clients? I hope so. They're all incredible, and we appreciate how open they are to sharing their insight with us. The good stuff, the not so good stuff, and the stuff they're working on, either as a one-to-one client or in the Leadership Lab. Coming next week, I'm kicking off a new series all about hiring, and it begins by featuring another client who recently hired an in-house director of brand marketing, and we will dive into how workplace design absolutely helps you attract top talent. She's continuing to grow her interior design firm team that's been wowing clients with their signature style for over 14 years. Be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And P.S., here's my nudge for you to engage with my clients online. Tell them what you thought about their episode. Japers, you can imagine what it takes to go behind the microphone when you normally are all in on your earbuds. It's not in their comfort zone, so please show them some encouragement. And if you've missed some or more recent client-featured episodes, just zip back in your podcast app a bit. Thank you. I just love introducing you to members of the Leadership Lab. Today, you'll meet Sarah Russo. She's a publishing professional with over 20 years of experience working across the spectrum of publicity, communications, traditional marketing, social media marketing, branding, and business development. Before launching her own literary public relations firm, Page One Media, 5 years ago, Sarah worked at many well-known firms with authors too numerous to count or highlight here. Sarah is a regular speaker at conferences, book festivals, and universities, and has held many leadership positions at various governing book publishing and promotion organizations, boards, and not-for-profit programs. You can see her impressive bio over at Page One Media, her website. She lives in Brooklyn with her husband and 2 teenage kids, where she leads her fully remote team of stellar people focused on delivering the very best publicity for the authors they care for. And as you might have guessed, every person at Page One Media is a self-proclaimed book lover. I can't wait for you to meet Sarah. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, Sarah.
Thanks so much for having me, Shelli. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited for our listeners to meet you and to hear your unique perspective on, first of all, the type of business that you have, but also on the type of team that you're stacking. So tell us, what led you to want to start your own PR firm?
I often say that I really was tired of being the party of no at work. And, this is not specific to the publisher where I worked, but all publishers across the board have trimmed budgets and have sort of streamlined support systems. And you're getting a lot less, if you're an author, you're getting a lot less face-to-face time with whether it's your editor or your publicist or your marketer. There's just less, and the expectations is that we're going to do a lot more with a lot less. And that means saying no all the time to authors. And I just didn't want to be the party of no. Going out on my own meant that I could be the party of yes. And we can do all sorts of things here that we can't do in-house because there's either not enough time or not enough resource or not enough budget. We have all sorts of space here.
Yeah, you've got your own flexibility and you can define what that flexibility is. You can define what service menu you want to offer. You can decide what authors you want to work with. You just have so much more control. So as you decide, okay, I'm going to have my own PR firm, tell me about the team. Who was your first hire?
My first hire was actually a woman who had worked with me at my previous job. And she initially came on part-time. She had a full-time job of her own, and she came on 15 hours a week. And that very quickly, from January to March, turned into full-time. And her first week with me full-time was the first week of the pandemic. So it was the week that everything shut down. So it was a scary moment that I had lured this poor woman away from her full-time job and thought, my immediate first thought was, holy cow, everything's going to fall apart. I'm going to have to lay her off immediately. But that's not at all what happened. The exact opposite actually happened. We got very busy very quickly. We then shortly thereafter hired another part-time person, another woman that I previously worked with at my former job. And she came in part-time. And then again, just a few months later, came in full-time. And that's sort of how we've done things. We don't so much do the part-time to full-time thing anymore. We just hire a full-timer when we need them. But we started with, incremental fractional hires to a full-time hire. And as we got more work, we just continued to add more staff.
I love how how it started, right? You start small, there's bigger demand, you're running out of your own personal capacity, you realize you need a team. And I love that you reached back to entice your former grade A team members that you worked alongside. You entice them to come and join you. I mean, I love that, right? Grade A team members want to work with other grade A team members. And when you shift from being a team member to being a business owner, the first thing you reflect on is, well, I need a team. What do I want my team to look like? And so then memories and people start bubbling up in your mind's eye. And so to be able to reach back and offer them an incredible career opportunity, that's such a win-win.
I agree. I think it's really nice to be able to work with people that you understand their working style. And it was a really trying time, that first year of the pandemic. And even the following year was still really difficult. Having people that I could rely on, that I knew the way they worked and the type of work they delivered and how to talk to them and engage with them and already had a pre-existing relationship with them felt easier. But even still, I'd say I'm not, poaching former team members from their current jobs, but referrals are a big way that we hire, because it makes a big difference getting a direct referral from a colleague that I respect and understand that they have similar standards the way that they work with colleagues. And the expectation is that those people coming on board will have a depth of understanding and a way of working that feels similar to the way we're already working here.
Yeah, it just adds a whole lovely level of comfort because hiring is a scary thing. Hiring is always scary for sure. So, what were you looking for as like in terms of qualities as you were continuing to grow the team? Because you have a full-blown team now. What has been your hiring philosophy?
That's a great question. I don't know that it's a particular philosophy. I think that what I'm looking for is creativity, people who can work independently and work, remotely well because we are a remote team. It can be really hard to self motivate when you don't have others around you to help you stay on task and, some of that water cooler, like downtime and entertainment chat and things. So, we are fully remote, but we have some tools that we utilize that I think make us feel very connected together as a group. And I think we use those to the fullest and make sure that everyone's talking and collaborating and brainstorming together because we're so much better as a team. There are lots of individual freelance publicists who, are solopreneurs and wonderful, brilliant at the work that they do. But this is a different ecosystem that we have here where we can really lean on each other and rely on each other and brainstorm together. And the campaigns, I think, are better because of that.
So, how would you describe the atmosphere that you want to build on your team?
I want to build the place where I want to work. I've worked in many places now over the years. I had jobs before my professional career in high school and college, but in my career portion of my work, it's almost 25 years that I've been working in book publishing. And I've worked at many different places for many types of bosses in very different cultures. And some of them are great and some of them are not so great. And I didn't want to work in a place that didn't feel good to come into every day. I want everyone here to feel supported. I want mistakes to not feel like catastrophes because everybody makes mistakes. I want everyone to feel like they can try something new and experiment and there lie some mistakes, right? Because if you're trying something new, how do you know how well it's going to go? So, but if we're not creative, if we're not trying new things, we're not evolving as a marketing and PR firm. And this is an area of work that you have to constantly be learning and evolving because it's changing so rapidly all of the time. And I learn just as much from my team members as they learn from me. And I think that's really important. They keep me on my toes and they are constantly teaching me things. And that's really valuable.
Oh, wow. I love that. Love that there's a two-way street there. So how are you fostering this team culture? Like, how do you explain to people either in the hiring process or your onboarding process? How are you giving people feedback regularly to make sure that the experience that you want is actually happening, especially remotely?
Honestly, I'm not sure I know how we're doing it. I think people on the team are happy. I think they have opportunities to deliver feedback. I have weekly check-ins with everyone. We have quarterly reviews, which is an opportunity for people to talk about not only what's happening right now and what their challenges are and the things that they find exciting and are enjoying about their day-to-day jobs here, but also where they want to be a year from now and 3 years from now. And I really do want everyone to stay. So making sure that we're talking about the evolution of their role and the evolution of the business and opportunities for everyone to rise, because the better the business does, the more opportunity there is for people to grow up into the business. And that I want very much for everyone who wants to be able to either manage or expand or, do things that are maybe a little bit different from their typical everyday, or if there's something that they see as a superpower that they're not getting right now to flex. But I'd love for them to be able to try and do that. So those conversations, I think, are critical in making sure that people are getting what they need every day. But I feel really strongly that we're all just people, and our job can't be the foundation of our lives. So, everyone here is human, and, they have families and pets, and they like to travel, and, they have things outside of work that are important to them. And I want them to have those things. And I want work to be able to fuel that other part of their lives, not have work be their whole life. So we talk about those things too, and just making sure that everyone's in a good place and feels supported if things outside of work are trying. I want them to bring their whole selves to work every day, and that means being happy outside of work.
So what are your standards, or what are you looking for as you're inviting new people to come and join your team in terms of face-to-face interaction with your authors?
Yeah. So we have regular check-ins with all of our clients. They're either on a biweekly or a tri-weekly check-in schedule, and that's with their lead publicist on the campaign. I also check in with those clients. I make sure that they feel like there's an open door for them to be able to communicate with me if there's something that's a struggle on the campaign or something that is making them unhappy. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for each of the clients. My team reports to me. They don't report to the client. So I want that barrier between them and the client. And our client relationships are really, really important. The publicist or marketer should always have a great working relationship with the client. And if there's scope creep, or there's something that feels troubling or problematic, or if the client's unhappy, I want them to talk to me about that. They need to maintain that smooth working relationship. So if feedback needs to be given, I want to be able to give that feedback. So I do think that's also nice for the team too, because who wants to have a client come to them and complain about something or feel like they're upset about something? And more often than not, there's no complaint to be had. It's just the publishing process is mysterious, and it's sort of shrouded in a lot of layers of overcomplication that is completely unnecessary. And that's publishers. I don't know why they do that, but they do. So a lot of it is really just teaching and educating the author about what's happening when and how. And, that's not always, that is part of the team member's job to do that education. But sometimes, I've been doing this a really long time. Like sometimes I am better able to communicate what's happening underneath the surface. I like to describe it like an iceberg, right? What the client can see is the tiny little piece of the iceberg that's above the water. All of the rest of the work that's occurring underneath the surface is the massive part of the work that we do. And we do try and show clients what's happening in the ongoing process, but it's still not fully visible to them. It will never be fully visible no matter how much we communicate. So sometimes there's a little bit of discussion that needs to be had just to clarify what's happening underneath the surface.
So are you matching team members to authors?
Yes.
How do you define or set up their work plans?
So they are allowed to volunteer themselves for projects. So everyone is included in that sort of what I think of as the new business development process. So before we ever even have a conversation with a potential client, we read their book, and everyone on the team, the manuscripts are there for everyone to take a look at. And anyone who has time and the inclination is interested in a subject can pull that manuscript and start reading and give feedback. So it starts there. It starts from the very beginning of the process. And if someone's really interested in a book, they can absolutely raise their hand and say, I'd really like to work on this. This is interesting for me. There are some instances where I might assign the book because I think that publicist has the necessary skill set to fulfill what is the scope of work for the campaign. So, and then I also we try and keep a very careful look at who's working on what across the months. No one has more than one book publishing in a month. And I think that's really important because a book it's a lot of work. So I want to make sure that they're workload, it feels evenly distributed across the year.
Yeah, that's always a risk on teams, right? We have, as leaders, we can have a tendency to load up particular people. And if they don't push back, the tendency is to continue to load them up. And then before you know it, you realize that they're just swamped. And then you've got other people on the team that are light, like they're walking around with a lighter workload. And that can cause a lot of friction amongst team members too. So how do you handle those different career aspirations? More than one person saying, no, I want that author. No, I want that book, or just conflict in general on your team?
There's rarely conflict. So I think there are circumstances where two people might want to work on the same project, but they oftentimes kind of work it out between themselves, right? Like they'll say, one person will realize that the other person wants it more and will just say, you can have it. They'll talk about it together. Sometimes there's opportunities for them to collaborate together and work on the project in tandem or support each other in some way. So they're still, even if they're not the lead publicist, they're still touching the project and get to be involved in some ways. So I think there are a few ways to troubleshoot that problem. As far as overloading, this is something that I've tried very hard not to do because I was doing it in the past, where we would get to a point where we were all in a deep state of overwhelm. And then I would say, okay, we need to hire somebody new. Now I'm trying to get to a point where I can look a little bit further into the future and say, before everyone is overwhelmed, let's hire someone new in. And then they also have a longer road to learn how we do things and get onboarded. And, they may start with a fewer number of projects. And then as they get settled and acclimated, we add more projects onto their plate. So that's something I've tried to change in the last year or so, because I'd made that mistake more than once. And it wasn't good for me and it wasn't good for the team. So I'm trying very hard not to do that in the future because it's just too much.
Well, that's what we do as leaders. It's all continual learning. The better leaders are the ones that can reflect on the past and what worked well and what didn't work well and what were we feeling at the time. And then even jotting down some notes as to here's what I plan to do the next time, right? Because often we'll think, oh no, I will remember this. This was difficult. I will remember what this felt like. But then life happens and you don't remember. And then before you know it, you're right back into the same dilemma that you were before. And then you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm back in the same place that I was a year ago or 6 months ago. So having the wherewithal to be able to say to yourself, okay, I don't like this feeling right now. I don't want my team to feel this kind of pressure either. So let me take some notes to make sure that I'm just, keeping more of an eye on this so that I can move forward quickly and pull the trigger on hiring sooner than later.
My husband is very good at reminding me. And also, sometimes I need to be given permission to make a decision or to pull the trigger on something.
Yeah.
And he's very good at reminding me that the buffer is there, right? The emergency fund is there in order to help fill the gap if we need it for payroll or whatever it may be. And we've never needed to touch it to date. And that feels good, right? That money can sit there and feel, I have some confidence set behind me because it's there. But he is always reminding me, I can go ahead and hire, right? We're in a situation where we have the flexibility and we can, before everyone's overloaded, make that decision, because it takes a little while.
Sure it does.
As well to hire. You make the decision to hire and it still takes 3 months to find the right person. And then it takes 3 months to get that person fully onboarded and acclimated. So now everyone's been overburdened for 6 months. And that's when you start to lose people, right? Because it's just, people can be a little overworked for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but you can't ask people for 3, 4, 5 months. It's just too much.
No, when that becomes the norm, that's when people start dusting off their LinkedIn profiles, start calling up their connections, looking for referrals. And then before you know it, they're giving you 2 weeks notice.
We don't want that. We want people to stay.
Yeah. No, we don't want that. We want our highest performing people to stay. So What are you doing to make sure that your team feels valued and appreciated? Is there anything that you're doing, especially in terms of a remote team and with the type of business that you have and the type of clientele that you serve? Have you, come up with some ideas or there's some standards now that are just common practice for you to make sure that the team feels valued and appreciated?
I think the main thing that makes team members feel appreciated is compensation.
Mm-hmm.
From my point of view, and publishing is a very low profit industry overall, but I'll say since the pandemic, salaries have increased quite a bit. And we've made every effort, despite being a really small business, to keep pace with those salary increases and make sure that people are fairly compensated within our industry. We also, some things that I feel like are vitally important and show our level of appreciation as a very tiny business is health insurance and vacation time and sick and personal time. We don't differentiate here between sick and personal time. Your personal time is yours to take as you need it. If you need it for a doctor's appointment, that's fine. If you're out sick, that's fine. If you just need a mental health day, that is also fine, right? That time is your own to utilize as you see fit. So I think part of it is really not only giving people an appropriate allocation of paid time off, but letting them take it and having a culture that allows them to feel supported here when they're out of the office so that they don't come back to a mess when they return from their time off. So that's that team effort too, and making sure that everyone feels like they have the internal support that they need and require, and that the client feels like they have a touch point, someone here who can help them when their publicist or marketer is out on holiday. And everybody deserves to be able to completely disconnect. I believe in that so strongly. And we'd like to create a culture in which that's really possible for people to do. But we have some other things that we do. We usually have a quarterly challenge that has a bonus tied to it. So we do like little things like that. And we all have to achieve it. So we either win together or lose together. So, I think there are ways that we support each other and encourage each other to achieve the challenge so that we can all benefit financially. So there are little things like that I think are fun. We try and get together as a team at least twice a year. So, we do some sort of team building activity. We go to a museum, we go out to eat, we, enjoy each other's company and have not just a work day together, but, a more relaxed sort of a day together. So things like that I feel like just allow us to enjoy each other's company when we have the opportunity to.
Well, it's wonderful that you're planning these in-person events. That is so critical for a remote team. Even to know that there's going to be one or two opportunities throughout the year to literally hang out with the people that you work with is so meaningful for remote workers who often feel incredibly isolated, even though you're doing all the right things with keeping care of people and connecting with them and making sure that they're seen and heard, and you're hosting your one-to-ones and your team meetings, and they're having collaboration time together with their peers. And I know your team members host client calls as well. So it's not like they're stuck on an island where they don't get to talk to anyone. But having said that, there still is this like low grade level of isolation when you are a remote team member. So when they have a leader that is putting some effort in to literally put them on a train, put them on a flight, whatever it is, to get them to come in so that they can spend some quality time with one another, it really matters. And they really do start to look forward to it.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of fun when we get together. We like each other. And I think that's a big part of, the culture here too. The team is involved in the hiring process. So I need everyone we're so small. and we work so closely together. Everyone needs to be excited about the new additions to the team. So everybody is involved to one degree or another in the hiring process. So we really like each other. We like to spend time together. So yesterday we were working on trying to find that week in this fall when we can all gather together and spend some time together. So it's definitely in the forefront of my mind.
So what have you been proud about your team lately? Has your team done anything lately that you're feeling incredibly proud about?
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good at their jobs. It's genuinely amazing the level of publicity that they achieve on behalf of our clients. We had a client on CBS Sunday Morning a weekend ago. That was really wonderful. We've had New York Times book reviews in the last couple of weeks, op-eds in Newsweek. One of our publicists got a column for one of our clients in Newsweek. So that's a coup, like really so huge and amazing. So there are so many things. The influencer work that we do here and our team member who spearheads that is really the relationships she has with the folks in that space. It's amazing. It's genuinely amazing. And you can see it shows in the results of the work and the mentions of the book on social media. So yeah, I mean, they're all doing a great job.
Wow. Those outcomes that your team members are creating for your clients. I mean, that's exactly why people are coming to you. That's exactly why you're attracting these authors and you're building up a reputation for being able to deliver on those kind of critically, highly visible outcomes as an author.
It really does. It makes a real difference. Book publicity is very highly competitive. We publish just an absolutely preposterous number of books in the United States each year. They think it's somewhere between 400 and 750,000 traditionally published books annually. They publish so many, they don't even know exactly how many there are.
That is wild. Oh my gosh, that's remarkable. I had no idea the number would be that high.
Isn't that bananas? It's really a lot. It's really a lot of books. And when you take a look at the New York Times book review, for example, there's maybe 25 books in there a week. Right? So when you think there's maybe 40,000 books that published that month and 100 books get mentioned in the New York Times, you can see how challenging it can be to get attention for our clients and their books. And so much of that attention has to do with the relationships the publicists have with the media and the reliability, what they can expect from us in quality of books on our list. So that really it makes a huge difference. And we're selective about the projects we take because we're only as good as the last book we brought them. So, but you can see it in the results. It's really, really fun and exciting when a campaign comes together the way it should.
Well, it's been fun for me in the Team Leader program because you have 3 team members in the Team Leader program. And I get to meet with them every month and I see them in action. I learn about what they're up against with the questions that they ask me and the dilemmas that they want some coaching towards. But the thing that really lights me up is seeing them support each other. So I always ask at the beginning of those monthly drop-in calls to share a win. And oftentimes, team members will share the win on behalf of the other team member, like as if the team member won't share it. I love that. Where the peer will say, well, wait a minute, didn't this just happen? I love that. And I remember it was Lacey that told me about your one client who was going to be on the Sunday morning show, which I am a huge fan of. And so I was excited. And then everyone else on the call were like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Because they all totally knew what that show was. And so they were going to tune into it to be able to see your client as well. So it's really wonderful to see that level of camaraderie, but also the level of knowledge that they have about each other and about what each other are doing for the business. It really warms my heart to be able to see that.
Well, that's one of those things that I feel like is helpful in making sure that we're staying in touch with each other. So we have in our chat utility that we use, we have a publicity wins channel. And that's where we can celebrate each other. Every big hit that comes in, it goes into the publicity wins and we all celebrate together. And, at the same time, it's operationally, it's great because our assistant takes it from there and it gets piped into social media and we track everyone's wins because some of the KPIs for the year are based on numbers of media hits in different segments. So that's part of some people's goals, annual goals. So we have ways of tracking that. So it all is, I don't want to say duplicative, that's not the right word. It's doubly useful. So we use it to celebrate, but we also use it to keep metrics and tracking and make sure that things are flowing out to our social media. Yeah.
I love that. So what kind of advice would you give to another person who wanted to start a PR firm where they also had this level of team spirit amongst themselves, specifically with the remote team? What would be a couple of things that you would encouraging them to consider and then get a strategy together to make sure it happens?
That's a really good question. There aren't a lot of firms in our space who have on staff publicists. Many of them have subcontractors. And I think that in and of itself sort of creates a slightly disjointed environment. So I do think, and I think this is not only good for the team, but good for the business. Having, full-time employees makes a difference. It creates stability in their lives. It creates stability in the business, and it allows you to create a culture. If you have subcontractors, you can't dictate what their hours are. So you don't have people at their desks between 9 to 5. We have folks who are in different time zones and they're not always working in perfectly aligned hours, but we most definitely have overlap across the day. And, being in communication with them during their overlapping hours, I think is important. So having team meetings, we have a daily huddle. It's very, very quick and simple. It's not something, the idea is not to take up tons of people's time, but it's an opportunity for us to, again, celebrate what people achieved that day and also set our intentions for the next day. That's a piece of our culture that I think is really nice. And I like seeing everyone, even if it's just for a few minutes every day. We have a team meeting weekly. I do also think that's important. Investing in the team, like your coaching program, Shelli, and other opportunities. If someone really wanted to learn Excel, right? Having that door be open to investing in their skills and having them learn things. We, also have a speaking coach that we utilize from time to time because sometimes, people can be nervous if this is the first time that they've ever hosted one-to-ones with clients. Making sure that they feel supported and have a system for how to speak professionally and feel like they have someone other than me who can help coach them through that process, I think is important. So just investing in your team, I think it shows them how much you care about them and their success, and it benefits the business too. So I see no downside in that.
Well, I think the other thing that is helping you really have this level of success, Sarah, is that you spent a lot of time in the industry working with a lot of different people at various firms, and you know what it is that you want. When you decided to start your own firm, you knew exactly what you wanted to create. And then you set about going and doing it. And I think that has a lot to do with why you are where you are right now. It's that you actually had a vision for it versus just on a whim, try this, try that, try this, try that. You literally had a picture in your mind's eye as to what type of team atmosphere you wanted to create. And you knew it was going to be more difficult than not with remote team members, but you're putting the extra effort in to make sure that you're attracting top talent and that you're retaining that top talent and that people truly do feel like what they're doing every day is worthwhile. And that's, I see it on their faces. I mean, I've been around the block for many years. I can tell when people are putting on a show for me. Your team is not putting on a show for me or for the other people that are in that program. They're very, very genuine. And you can tell, like, as you said, they like each other.
I'm very lucky. They're really wonderful people. And that's, I think that's at the heart of what we do. We're all lifelong learners here. Like, we have that commonality. We all love to read. It's never going to be a big money business, right? So we're not here for the money. We're here because we love what we do. And I genuinely think everyone on the team loves what they do. So if we can make a workplace where they love the work, they love the culture, they love their team members, what more could you ask for, really? You love the work, you love the people you work with. You're not expected to work 10-hour days. You should have a balanced life. And, we hope that you end each day feeling good about what you accomplished and not feeling like you have a weight hanging over your head.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. So tell our listeners, Sarah, how can people stay connected to you?
LinkedIn is a good way to reach me. I am there frequently. I don't maybe post as much as I should, but if you message me there, I will absolutely see it and respond. We have a website, which you can always find us there. The company is on social media, Instagram and LinkedIn as well, Page One Media. So you can find us in those spaces too.
Well, I will have all of those links in our show notes for sure. And I really enjoy following your Instagram account because I really like seeing the book covers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all about the book covers. So I really like seeing the book cover, the artwork, and then there's always a storyline. Like, here's what this book is about, and here's who the author. And like, there's enough information there to really entice. Let me jump on and buy that book. I want to buy that book. I want to read it.
Yeah. I genuinely, every book we work on, you will have a good time reading. Whether it is a slightly more academic title in which you're learning something, or it's a, lighter novel, and we have everything in between, like the full spectrum. So whatever type of reader you are, there's something for you.
Well, I appreciate you coming and spending some time with me, Sarah. I appreciate you telling your story with us. And it's just so apparent that you love what you do. And congratulations on all of the success that you've had so far. And I know you're not done yet. I can foresee lots more success coming your way. And I appreciate your time. And I will see you in our next Leadership Lab call.
Thanks so much, Shelli. I appreciate your having me.
Growing your business and leading a team takes vision. You've got to know what you want to offer people that join your team and what you don't want them to have to endure. All of your former work experiences add up into life lessons of leadership. When you reflect back on your former employers, former coworkers, and former clients and customers, all of those memories and the emotions that can bubble up just thinking about those times can help you to form your vision of the kind of workplace you want yours to be. That's what Sarah did. She could describe what she wanted her team members to feel every day they came to work alongside her. Then she set about to make it happen, beginning with each new person who joined the team, each author they said yes to, and every person in the media world they collaborate with. She's not taking it for granted, and she knows that having a remote team adds an extra level of complexity to ensure her team members do not feel isolated, but instead feel actively engaged in their workday with people they like and respect. Before I let you go, I want to remind you that if you have a team of 5 or more and you're ready to stop getting team and leadership advice from TikTok, join the Leadership Lab or work with me one-on-one, and I will share my experience with you so that you can accelerate your ability to find, keep, and onboard your best candidates, promote your top talent into leadership roles that free you up and get you out of the daily operations, keep the people you want and release the ones you don't, and build a team of highly capable and trusted people. Become a client, get the help you need, watch the improvements happen within your team that will spill right across your whole business, and then join us at our next client gathering in Ottawa, Ontario on October 2nd and 3rd. Apply directly from the links in the website or here in the show notes. Leadership can be exciting, challenging, and lonely at times. So don't go it alone. Let me help you create the team and the leadership structure that you've been craving. So until next time, remember, if you have a dream, you need a team. So let's get stacking yours today.